So guys, I've had a chance to check out Pennyworth early, so if any of you are Gothamites or you're just wanting to check out Pennyworth and see my first impressions of it, then this is the video for you, because this is my review of Pennyworth Episode 1. How's it going, butlers? I guess I always say that, but yeah, I think a lot of you said butlers is the way to go with this show. But either way, guys, I've been given the opportunity to check out the first 5 episodes of Pennyworth as of where it stands right now. However, I wanted to just do a video on the series premiere. I wanted to give my reaction on the pilot. I haven't seen episode 2, 3, 4, or 5 or anything like that. But, you know, I thought it would be really cool to do a review before it officially comes out on the 28th, even though I think, you know, if any of you guys already noticed or not, that I think if you sign up for the 30-day free trial on Epics, you might be able to see Pennyworth right now. So, yeah, here's my review, guys. And I have to say, as a lot of you were, and even I was, but not as bad as a lot of other people, I was at least apprehensive of this show. I definitely wasn't shitting on it like a lot of other people were. You know, just off face value. I knew this wasn't, and I've said this in all of my Pennyworth videos before, that it didn't look like a comic book show. Do you know what I mean? Like a superhero TV show, should I say. It's nothing like any of the other superhero shows. And it's interesting. The other day I saw an interview. It might have been at San Diego Comic Con. It was like a brief one-liner or so from Jack Bannon, who plays Alfred himself. And he says himself what I've been trying to say this whole time. This isn't a superhero show. It's more of like a crime kind of thriller drama of a show. And it kind of solidifies its own kind of thing. And if you're going into this show thinking it's like a superhero show like The Flash or even Titans on DC Universe or Supergirl or just something like that, obviously it's not going to be like that. This is about Alfred in 1960s London, in his 20s, setting up a security firm and meeting Thomas Wayne. And it's kind of like, you know, I've seen a lot of, and you may have heard this as well, with it being this kind of comparison to James Bond, spy-esque. And yes, I definitely get that vibe from this, which, you know, even goes further to prove how this show is its own thing. And that's not a bad thing either. All it's done is it's just slapped a comic book character's name on it, and that's not a wrongdoing either. A lot of people saying, oh yeah, but why Alfred, like, blah, blah, you know, that this character has never been explored in this way, which, as I agree with Bruno Heller and Danny Cannon, I think it was Bruno Heller who maybe said this, maybe it was Danny Cannon, but either way, I think it's important to raise this point as well. Given that it's so far into the past, 1960s, and that, you know, we've had tidbits of information about Alfred's SAS past or whatever rendition of the character you might want to kind of go with. They're all kind of similar in that way, serving in the military and stuff. But way into his past, you know, this far in the past, there's a lot of freedom that they can explore. And I have to say, after watching that first episode, it really did set up a solid foundation for this show. And you can probably tell I'm not making that up or anything, that would do that anyway. But if you look at the reviews for this show, you know, whether it's episode 1, some people have been doing series premiere reviews like I'm doing now, but some people have done the first 1 to 5 episodes, generic kind of overview with no spoilers, which I kind of might do in another video, and that, you know, it is a good show. It really has its own flavor and it is very decent. So if you're wondering if I'm going to be doing future reviews on this show, I'll definitely be reviewing episode 2, maybe when it actually airs, but judging on how it goes, I might or might not continue doing it. But if I don't continue doing weekly reviews, I'll give my season overview impressions based on the episodes I have available to me, and do it that way. But, you know, let's just see how this goes, and also let me know down in the comments below what you think of me maybe reviewing the show weekly, because it's all about what kind of you guys want at the end of the day, of course. So other than that, guys, like this video if you do go on to enjoy it, but let's get into the kind of gritty details of my Pennyworth review. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering, by the way, this is a spoiler-free review for obvious reasons. It is not properly out yet. I mean, I guess you can sign up to the Epics thing and see it now, but, you know, this is spoiler-free for those of you who are wondering and want my opinions on, is Pennyworth worth your time? So Pennyworth is obviously a show about Alfred Pennyworth, played by Jack Bannon, who sets up a security firm in 1960s London after serving 10 years in the British SAS. Now, Pennyworth brings us a much different take on Alfred than what we're used to seeing. And what I mean by that is that we get to see a very badass Alfred, which hasn't really been shown much on screen other than what we've recently got to see through a glimpse of like Sean Pertwee's Alfred on Gotham. But other than that, the other Alfreds have always been your kind of cliche older butler like Michael Caine and other people like that. I truly feel like Gotham was the first time to explore a slightly younger Alfred, given that Gotham was a prequel show with Bruce Wayne starting very, very, very young in season 1. Now, the pilot starts off a little bit slow, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Slow things often like that are very deliberate, and it does make sense introducing the story that we see in episode 1, but it does quickly find its footing and carries out the rest of the episode with a satisfying pace of intrigue and action. Action, definitely a good way to put it. So as I said, Jack Bannon really, really does a good job at portraying Alfred, and when I say that, I really do mean it. And I'm really looking forward to watching more episodes with his portrayal. And for those of you who are interested in the more or less definitive answer of, is freaking Gotham connected to Pennyworth? Well, at Comic-Con, they were asked that exact question. Like, is Pennyworth, connected to their previous works, Gotham? And when I say their previous works, because this is made essentially by, the same guys who wrote Gotham, like Bruno Heller, directed by Danny Cannon. He directed a ton of episodes and was heavily involved in Gotham. A lot of you may know this. Some of you who don't pay that much attention to the shows may not. But interestingly, if you've been along for my updates and the ride with this along the months, you will know that it does kind of contradict what's been said before. It has been kind of up and down. But Danny Cannon did say, and I quote, like, "I would say so, yes." So that's very interesting. But the thing is, I wholeheartedly agree after seeing the first episode. Like, if you watch this with that in mind, after watching Gotham and being a big Gotham fan, you would wholeheartedly agree from what you see from Jack Bannon's Alfred. I definitely see a younger Sean Pertwee Alfred here. There are just cues and characteristics that are very in line with Gotham's take on Alfred, and you guys will definitely pick up on that if you're a big fan of Gotham's Alfred. I don't know what more else to say. Of course, you could pluck Michael Caine. He's obviously going to have different characteristics, and it may be homages to multiple Alfreds, but 100%, like, this is younger Sean Pertwee, and, considering the fact the guys who are behind this did Sean Pertwee's Alfred, it's self-explanatory as to how Jack Bannon's kind of acting in this world. And I'm not trying to say that in terms of, Jack Bannon isn't doing his own thing at all. Like, it's nothing like that, but you can see, at least at the very material or like the drawing board they gave him, is to kind of loosely adapt the Gotham TV show. And now we know that it basically is a prequel to Gotham, which is also a prequel to Batman. Alfred's companions, at least from what I can tell from the first episode, seem to be his army buddies, and they are very entertaining and also badass, and I look forward to seeing what further antics they get up to in future episodes. And speaking of Gotham, the feel of this like early London and the way it was filmed, like, in this episode, and it was directed by Danny Cannon, as I keep saying, will give like Gothamites a similar cinematic feel to this series. And as we all know, Gotham had this kind of timeless feel with regards to how many different aging aspects there were to it. Whereas this London is 1960s London, but definitely isn't like 100%, not even near 100% accurate to obviously London back then. And we knew this going into it, like they're gonna do like Jack the Ripper Descendants. There's stuff involved in this episode which just don't exist and didn't exist back then. So do you know what I mean with Gotham's feel and the way they shot and panned across the skylines and everything like that? It's very reminiscent, and that's not really necessarily surprising considering who's involved with this project as well. And now we know it's all kind of connected. It's a very kind of Elseworldsy kind of thing, just like Gotham was in a way, establishing its own print on Batman canon, traditional canon if you will, and same with Alfred here. But even though at the bottom line here, Alfred is going in completely new territory with establishing a younger origin for him. Now the thing about Pennyworth, now this may be good news to some, maybe a bit like concerning for other fans. It's a very mature show, and that's a very good thing for me. I love that a lot. But if you're a Gothamite and you're fairly young and watch that show with your parents, for example, or you watch it in front of your parents in the lounge, then unfortunately this show probably isn't for you for obvious reasons. reasons. It involves a lot of strong language, explicit scenes, and violence. Now, personally, throwing that into the mix in a show is totally up my street, as I've already said, and it really grounds Pennyworth in the unique category of show, since of course it is attached to that kind of larger Batman world, which obviously goes without saying. The show is about Alfred Pennyworth. It's got Thomas Wayne in it. Not that, by the way, you should expect any large Easter eggs or, you know, anything even remotely to that. Like, there's that line that's even in the trailer where it's like, oh, if you keep this up, you'll be a butler by the time you're 40. That's the extent of what we're going to get, but understandably, this show is, as I keep saying, not a superhero show. They're not going to concentrate on Batman stuff, so if you're thinking anything like that, obviously it's not going to be about that. This is 1960s. Thomas Wayne hasn't even got his family. I'm not going to go on about that. But nevertheless, going back to Pennyworth's maturity, this all makes Pennyworth this dark attraction that really suits the show very, very well. Now, in the first episode, we also meet Alfred's seeming romance, Esme, who we've seen quite a lot of in the trailers, whether, you know, he was running after her in that car and stuff like that. And this kind of like branches me into the antagonists of the show, who are introduced quite early on in the episode, and they're kind of splintered throughout the episode, obviously focused on more heavily at different points than other points. But as of right now, this seems to be Lord Harwood. This is all information we kind of already knew though, and the Raven Society, who are quite politically driven to change things in England and to cater it to their ideals by any means necessary. I'm trying to not give away too much here, but at the same time, in the first episode, also get Alfred's attention by making things quite personal. Now, most often with the Raven Society, and from what you see in the first episode, they're accompanied by Paloma Faith's character, Bette Sykes, who is a very, very sinister and consistent pain in the ass in the first episode for Alfred and a few others. You can definitely see how the Raven Society, from what I know so far, are going to be season-long antagonists, given how they're like littered throughout London, and connected to the government, and have much bigger plans. So, you know, them causing trouble and various trouble throughout the season, I'm sure will be popping up for Thomas Wayne and Alfred in quite a number of ways, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that will go down. Now, as for Thomas Wayne, played by Ben Aldridge, from what I see in episode 1, there's not really too much to say other than he's completely fine. Like, he's good. As a young Thomas Wayne who hasn't even, as far as I'm aware, met his family, hasn't got a family in terms of like Bruce is no way near along the way or anything like that, in case anyone is wondering about the setting. This is very in its infancy of both characters, Alfred and Thomas Wayne, and it's exploring their friendship, and the way these two guys meet each other and their adventure throughout the first episode is a very cool way of doing it, considering where this is going to go in the future, and how this Alfred, now you can put in your mind, turns into that Sean Pertwee Alfred who looks after a little David Mazouz's Bruce Wayne. But I think I'm going to leave it there, guys, because this review is getting on quite a bit now. You know me and my thoughts, I like to go on quite a bit. But I have to say, Pennyworth is a very pleasant surprise and a very solid show. It really, really is. I'm kind of echoing what I said earlier, and I don't mean that in the sense of that I thought it would be bad, but I didn't know, just like a lot of people who were maybe going a bit too far with this, saying, oh, what's the point of it, blah, 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 blah. It was more for me that even though I get that, exploring Alfred's origin, would it really hold? Now, I still stand by what I said in my last Alfred video. I think this will seriously apply to a niche audience, just like Gotham did, and even gather fans who don't know anything about the character Alfred. It'll gather those kind of fans who tuned into Gotham. I found out that a lot of Gotham fans didn't really, or weren't massive Batman fans. Of course they knew about Batman, they had heard about it at some point in their lives, but they got into Gotham for other reasons, for its entertainment. And I think that's what Pennyworth is going to do as well, because of, as I said, not a superhero show. It's more of a thrillery crime, spy-esque drama of a show. And that's going to appeal to all kind of different audiences, not just, CW fans or DC Universe fans or Fox Gotham fans. Even though if you're a Gothamite and you like Sean Pertwee's Alfred, which is one of my favorite things about Gotham, and definitely one of the highlights of Gotham for me, you will like this. But as I said, it's a mature and dark show. But I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up on it. It really does help out. Let me know if you want to see more reviews for Pennyworth. As I said, I'm going to probably go ahead and watch episode 2, 3, 4, etc. and I'm going to decide if I'm going to do like another like continued review after this. But if you want to see like weekly reviews and them to be styled that way, let me know down in the comments below if you plan on keeping up with this show and wanting breakdowns that way. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.